Good morning. It is now 9:01, and I'll call the Sewage and Water Board Governance Committee meeting to order. Special counsel, please call the roll.
Director Kennedy,
Here.
Director Cole, Barnes. Here. Director Howard. Here. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. We will proceed with our one presentation item. Jamie Parker, Interim Chief of Staff.
This is a final overview of the 2025 regular session for the Louisiana Legislature. So the session began in April and concluded last week on June 12th. So securing capital outlay dollars was our #1 priority this session, and we succeeded on that front. House Bill 2 is enrolled to become law and dedicates $8 million in capital outlay for the power complex. So that includes $3 million moved from priority 5 to priority 1, and then $5 million in cash was reallocated to Sewage and Water Board. Regarding the bills that were introduced that were specific to the utility, the key takeaway here is that there was no passage of any of those bills. Many of them stalled in committee, so we maintain the status quo in these areas. So that includes House Bill 190. This is a cleanup bill that was providing the one-year outline of the transition from city civil service to state civil service. It did not move out of committee, so it does not advance to become law. But again, it's a cleanup bill that I guess there's no impact with it not moving forward. Same outcome for House Bill 609 and 611, the stormwater fee bill and the governance bill respectively. Those also stayed in the House Municipal and Parochial Affairs Committee, did not gain much traction, and so also did not advance.
Excuse me, do we, oh, sorry, you're still on SWIB-no bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, and then the final two are House Bill 612 and 242. The first one, 612, was dealing with us having to maintain an employment list of certain people eligible for various appointments. And then Senate Bill 242 would have given the Public Service Commission the authority to set water and sewer rates. So there was no action on either of those. Moving on to other bills that are utility related but not specific to SWIB-no. The first one, House Bill 6, is enrolled to become law. So that creates the crime of misappropriation of funds to address issues arising under rental agreements. So this is when a landlord receives payment from a tenant for utility services, but then they fail to make that payment to the utility. So that now is something that we can rely on in terms of collections. I think I mentioned this last time, Senate Bill 2, the water fluoridation bill did not advance. It was passed by the House but deferred by the Senate Health and Welfare Committee. So there will be no changes to the way we implement water fluoridation in our current processes. Senate Bill 22 creates the theft of critical infrastructure, and there are many things that are under our control that fall under the definition of critical infrastructure. So that bill has already become an act, and it will be effective August 1 of this year. Senate Bill 63 has also become law, effective August 1. So this creates a municipal privilege or a lien that would allow utilities to collect against owners of multifamily residential properties for unpaid sewer and water bills. So another tool that could be utilized in terms of collecting for non-payment of utility bills. And then finally, Senate Bill 99 and Senate Bill 220 are related. So the first introduced by Senator Kathy, removed an existing carve-out for Orleans Parish that allowed revenue generated by traffic enforcement devices outside of school zones to be used for stormwater infrastructure, maintenance, and improvements. And then Senate Bill 220 by the same senator reinstates that, and that is enrolled to become law. This is, of course, a key component of our funding structure for the minor drainage system, but we have been advised to keep tabs on this in the future as we're unsure of kind of the long-term effect it might have and whether it will remain in future sessions.
Jamie, the one that reinstates it goes into effect in June, and then the repeal one goes into effect in August. Where does that leave us?
So the 220 is just based on the website that I checked, has just not been sent to the governor yet, so it hasn't been signed. It's in the process of becoming an act, but hasn't been assigned a number yet.
But I guess what I'm asking about is if the reinstatement goes into it. It's in the law, reinstatement, is it in the law now?
It will be, it just hasn't gone through the being signed by the governor and becoming an act and having the effective date yet, but it will since it was enrolled to become a law. That's the update.
I have a question about the non-payment of utility bills. And if, this is now creates a crime, how does that, do we now work, how do we enforce and how do we manage crimes?
That would have to be a deferral to, that would have to be a deferral depending on whether if they're going to say it's criminal or civil, right? And so depending on when we try to enforce this, and we'll probably be looking at other jurisdictions as well, whether or not we can do something as a financial crime with the DA's office, maybe a referral to the ADA, the DA's office, or maybe a referral to the Attorney General's office.
So that's a whole new process.
Yes. It's going to be a whole new process for, I would think, all utilities, because this has not been done in the past. So all utilities probably will be convening, and yes.
They can look to us.
Mhm.
Jamie, the capital outlay got the 8 million. What was our request at that time? Was it 8 or was it more or less at the beginning of the session? What did we go in looking for?
Well, it was existing funding in priority 5, so I think it was 29 million still left in priority 5. So out of the priority 5, they moved 3 million to priority 1. And then there's additional 5 million in cash that was allocated to another project, and CNO was moved to the Sewage and Water Board. So this goes through, hopefully does go through, you will still have a remaining of 26 million in priority 5. So if next session comes through and they move money from priority 5 to priority 1, you have a $26 million pot still there.
Okay.
Yes.
And we, I guess, as a strategy, broke up that with, this is what we could do with smaller chunks of funding.
Yes.
Thinking that it would be a hard ask to get the full
Yes.
20-something
Got it.
million.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know who this is a question for, but with these new bills, crime bills, to the extent that we have customers that we know are not passing on money they're collecting, are we notifying them in any way about the change in law, or is anybody notifying them about the change of law?
Well, it's just become effective, so we have not.
I'm asking about plans.
The plans. We probably will. I think we have to meet internally with staff, and also I think it would be very important for us to meet with our partners
Yeah.
at the AG's office as well as the DA's office to see how they would like to proceed, or how they would like us to proceed, because of course their funding is going to be, and their resources are limited, so I know they're going to say that to us. We already know that, but we will be reaching out to them to see how they would like
We
to
need
pursue.
guidance from them.
Yes, mhm,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
I have one more question. I'm just curious about sort of I know you all had meetings with, like Landry, Hilferty, and the folks that put forth bills. Do we feel like there's like good relationships moving forward, next session? Like, because it seems like they're putting forth bills about us, and we hear about it after the fact.
Right.
And, I'm curious about how do we work with them so that,
Well, we're working
We
with
can
them through our
collaborate.
lobbyists, so we did meet with our lobbyists, Paul Rainwater, city's lobbyists, a couple weeks ago. A very good meeting we had with our lobbyists, and then in turn, our lobbyists is working with our Metro New Orleans area delegation to work on behalf and benefit of Sewage and Water Board. So going into next session, I do believe we have a very good relationship with our lobbyists as well as with our local delegation. And to your point, we're working with our lobbyists to improve our, what bills we want to see and may not want to see from a Sewage and Water Board standpoint of view, what our legislators want to the next session. So the key is to working with our lobbyists, who in turn will work with our state legislators.
yeah. I mean, ideally, we want to have bills that
Yes.
we want.
Yeah, I think we need to do something before the legislative session.
Sure.
To talk
Yes.
not to our lobbyists, talk to the legislators
That's right.
about introducing bills about us without coming to speak to us, because anything that's going on should be a collaborative relationship.
One approach could be, to kind of build that into introducing Randy, to legislators. And so obviously we would do that with city council, but maybe we should do that with legislators
absolutely.
too. So that there's like a meeting and we can educate them on here's progresses that, we've made, and here's some real areas where state legislation could be helpful to us.
And I would say our chief of staff's office, as well as our communication, is working on that plan, not to overwhelm Randy too much when he first
No,
gets here,
and it's
but
also like by the next session, he has a
that,
little
that,
bit of
that
time.
is exactly the plan for the new exec director to come in and to meet with the key state legislature in this area, so he can actually hear, meet, and greet. So you're absolutely right on that. Mhm. Okay.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Much.
Now we are ready for executive session. May we have a motion to enter executive session?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. We are now in executive session. To exit executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are now in regular session. Are there any public comments?
No public comment, Chair.
There are no other matters. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now adjourned. Thank you.